Look, I get it. When a movie is hyped up to this degree, the way that this movie has been hyped up with all these reviews, everything that people have been saying from Sunday's showing, which I was one of them people, and just all the noise surrounding this entire film, all the great reviews it's getting, I understand. When a movie is hyped up that much, for some people, they're walking in with those sky-high expectations, and for some, it may not meet those expectations that people built. May not meet them. But for me, as far as I'm concerned, my expectations were exceeded. Stupendously. I mean, by far. Completely just shattered all my expectations. This, ladies and gentlemen, I promise you, you are probably going to see me throughout this entire review be so ridiculously hyped, yelling, screaming, going in completely batshit insane. But I promise you it's all worth it. And it's for a damn good reason. Because Dune 2 is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. Let me reiterate. It is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. It is not the greatest. Across the Spider-Verse still reigns supreme. But Dune 2 is worth all of that hype and so much more. This is the literal definition of a masterpiece. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just get on to the review. Because if you're not, if for whatever reason, if you're here and hoping that I have some different opinion than everybody else about Dune 2, everybody who's praising it, I don't. I'm going to sit here and praise it as well because my God! Denis Villeneuve put together an absolute masterpiece of a film here, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, let's just get into it. This is Dune Part 2. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and look, this is my review for Dune Part 2, starring Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, Florence Pugh, Austin Butler, and was directed by Denis Villeneuve himself. And our story continues the adaptation of Dune, the book, and we're following the movie from Dune Part 1, completely taking place right after we are following Timothée Chalamet with his journey with the Fremen, trying to plan his revenge against the people the Harkonnens that killed his entire people. He's also trying to make sense of all this Messiah prophecy mess and try to build around that and see what he can do with that information and how he can get some sort of following to get these people to rise up so that he can take his revenge. And on the other side of the world, or wherever the Harkonnens reside, you have Austin Butler trying to take his rightful place as the Harkonnens leader and try to go to Arrakis and take it over and do whatever he possibly can to be the craziest fucking villain of the 21st century. That is the best way I'm going to describe this plot, because look, all you need to know is we're following Dune Part 1 and the smoke is rising. It's as simple as that. Paul Atreides wants all to smoke this movie. That's all you really need to know. And like I said, guys, if you were expecting this to be a review of me saying anything different than what you've honestly heard about Dune Part 2, it's not going to be that. I'm not going to sit here and say this movie didn't live up to the hype. I'm not going to sit here and say this movie was overhyped. I'm not going to sit here and say maybe we kind of overdid the reviews a little bit, basically anything relating to it being overhyped. I'm not going to sit up here and say that because this movie lived up to the hype. And for me, personally, it surpassed it. Like I said, I can understand if you're those... I had friends, myself. Me and my friends went to the movies on Sunday to see this thing, and some of them walked out. They weren't over the moon like I was, because of how overly hyped this thing was. And I get it. I could understand if it's not, going to live up to those expectations that people are building it to. But if you get it, you get it. And ladies and gentlemen, I got it. and I can't get enough of it. I can't wait to see this thing on Thursday. Can't wait to see this thing next week for my birthday. Can't wait to see this thing again after that, and after that, and after that, and after that, because there's so much that this movie has to offer you. There's no way in hell you can get it all in the first seeing, or the first viewing of this movie. There's no way in hell. Denis Villeneuve absolutely delivered. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start with this. When movies get pushed back, or essentially even when you have to wait a certain amount of time for a part 2 or part 3 to come out because the person's taking long, this is why you need to be patient. This is why you need to relax and let the cookers cook.
Someone cooked here.
Because then you get things like these. You get once in a lifetime types of cinematic experiences. I'm talking about cinematic experiences that you truly can only have once in your life. That is what Dune delivers. You have never, ever seen anything like what Denis Villeneuve is putting on screen in this film here. I'm going to sit here for this first part of my review and honestly just praise Denis Villeneuve before I get to the ridiculous performances in this movie. Like, there's so much to praise, so much to get to, so let's just get into it. Look, starting with the man himself, the director, Denis Villeneuve. My favorite director, been my favorite director since 2013. Once I saw Prisoners, I knew this guy was next up. I knew this guy was going to be one of them ones. And, I mean, for me personally, he's delivered ever since Prisoners. But this one here should be the one that puts him in Christopher Nolan territory. And what I mean by that is everyone knows the name Christopher Nolan. The name Christopher Nolan itself can get billions amongst billions of people to get into a theater and watch a 3-hour biopic of a man who's creating the atomic bomb, and many other movies before that. But Christopher Nolan is a strong enough name in Hollywood to where his name alone can get people in seats. Denis Villeneuve's name should be right there by this point. Denis Villeneuve's name alone should get your butt in a seat, no matter who the casting is, because you should know when this man gets behind the camera, it's over. It's Kenny the Jet Smith. It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's go home. Let's go home, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go home. Let's go.
Slam dunk competition. It's over. It's a 50. It's done. It's a 50 all the way straight through. It's done. Like, when Denis Villeneuve gets behind the camera, ladies and gentlemen, he means nothing but business. And this entire movie, the entire movie from beginning to end, shows just how much of a attention to detail type director this guy is. I mean, when I tell y'all every frame, every single shot, every landscape, every color grade, every color scale, everything that pops up in this movie, that is for your entertainment, your viewing, even if it isn't somebody speaking, there is something to be in awe of on that screen for the entire 3 hours. Look, people gonna sit up here and really say, it's not gonna be a lot of people, but there are gonna be people that are saying that Dune was blown out of proportion, they ain't living up to this, that, and the third. Look, I'm sorry. I respect everybody's opinion. Y'all opinions are still valid, and I love you guys. But I promise you, I can't really put into words enough how amazing this movie is. I can't put into words enough what Denis Villeneuve actually pulled off in this film here. And I'm talking about specifically, just strictly the landscaping and the camera shots and the way everything was just put together, how well paced I felt the story was. Look, I've seen some people talk about the pacing was kind of a little, but I mean, for me, it worked. It worked so well. I mean, this is the definition of world building at its finest. What Denis Villeneuve is doing here is absolutely phenomenal. It's world building in a way I personally have never seen done before. And while I do want to give Denis Villeneuve credit for the cinematography, I can't. I know he wasn't the cinematographer. I want to make sure I shout this guy's name. Greg Fraser. Greg Fraser. Gray. He has an I in his name. Look, That is another man I must shout out because this movie is gorgeous. Like I said, every camera shot, every camera angle, every single frame, every landscape, every sand dune, every single color grade, color scale, every single set piece was shot, and it was damn near supposed to be put, actually not even damn near, it was supposed to be put hung in a museum somewhere. There are probably up to maybe 160 different frames in this movie that can be hung in a museum hall of fame for movies, and I'm not lying to you. 160, maybe 200. There are so many beautiful shots in this movie. There's so much beauty to withhold in this movie. I really wish I could sit here and say I'm overhyping what's been going on in this movie or the noise that's been surrounding this movie, but I'm not. I'm telling y'all, man, this movie lived up to the hype and it completely surpassed all my expectations. My expectations were already sky high. But it's been 2 days since I've seen this movie and I still can't get over how amazing that damn thing was. I can't wait to get back into that theater on Thursday, man. Denis Villeneuve, I can't thank you enough, bro. I truly can't thank you enough. This is somebody who you can tell truly cares about making films. This is a testament as to why I love movies. This can be a testament as to many why we love movies in general for experiences like these. This is a testament to cinema. This film is a testament to cinema. It's as simple as that. Like, I'm being so serious. Denis Villeneuve's directing in this film is absolutely out of this world, and Greg Fraser's fucking phenomenal cinematography was just, your jaw's on the floor. You cry. You shed tears at many of these frames, man. You shed tears at a lot of these set pieces in this movie. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, I gotta get to the performances because I'll be sitting here forever talking about this movie and how amazing it is. Look, I'm not gonna go over every single cast member. Just know damn near everybody in this movie gave an Oscar-worthy performance. I am going to shout out the cast members that I want to shout out, starting with Mr. Timothy Chalamet himself. That brother is our generation's Leonardo DiCaprio. Call it what you want. You can say it's a stretch. You can say what it is. Honestly, once I saw Wonka, you can go watch my Wonka review. Please do, because that movie's great as well. I knew Timothy Chalamet was one of them ones. Once I knew this kid can do a musical, I said, I don't. Whatever he does in Dune, I'm ready. Whatever he's going to do in Dune is going to be ridiculous, because the musical, that sold me. He can do a musical. I said, this boy too talented. I know whatever he's going to do in Dune is going to absolutely have me just completely shaking in my goddamn boots. And he shook me out of them. Shook me out of my goddamn boots. The last hour, what this kid transforms into in the last hour of this film is transcendent. It's absolutely spectacular in every sense of the word. What Timothy Chalamet does in the movie in general is absolutely ridiculous, but the last hour of this movie should win this kid the Best Actor nomination. Now, I was talking to my boy, and I said I do have to see the other Best Actors that come out this year. So, it's for him to actually win. I think he's definitely got a nomination locked up. They ain't letting him out, like Akon says. But, look, I think this motherfucker could win. It's a long year. We still got more movies to come. But as far as I'm concerned, this is an early entry for I'm winning the Best Actor nominations this year. And there's not really much you motherfuckers can do about it. It would have been so crazy to see this movie go up against Oppenheimer, because I would have loved to see the chaos on film Twitter reign between who's supposed to win between Cillian Murphy and Timothy Chalamet. Because I'm on Timothy Chalamet's side. I'm on Timothy Chalamet's side because what he does in the last hour of this movie absolutely is ridiculous. I can't say enough about how amazing Timothy Chalamet was, bro. He was absolutely ridiculous from beginning to end, and he only gets better. His performance literally ascends into the skies of Arrakis themselves. This dude is a star. He is an absolute star. He is the Leonardo DiCaprio of our generation, and I will not describe that any differently. He is Leo. 1000% this kid can do it all. And now I'm moving on to Austin Butler, who, look, a lot of people were saying that Austin Butler gave one of the best villain performances in a standalone movie since Joker and Javier Bardem in No Country for Old Men. I will say hands down that Austin Butler is one of the best villains in the 2020s thus far. From 2020 on to 2024, he is easily one of the best villains we've had thus far in film. And when you look back on this decade, I believe he will be one of the best villains in the decade. Excuse me. Which means he's like what Joker and Javier Bardem were. Well, they're some of the best villains of all time. I think that Austin Butler can possibly reach that status. I do have to see the movie again to truly know how confident I am in that take, but I do think that he is 1000% one of the best villains of this decade thus far. He will be one of the best villains in the decade once the decade is done. Will he be one of the greatest villains of all time? He's got some competition there for sure, but I think he's definitely in the conversation, or he's definitely made a case for the conversation itself. Austin Butler's ridiculous. And anytime I see Austin Butler, I still can't believe this is the kid from Disney Channel that we all saw growing up. I still can't believe that Austin Butler was on Hannah Montana, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing this dude rise to ridiculous stardom, first with Elvis, then he's doing Masters of the Air, now he's doing Dune. For some reason I can't remember the other film that he was in. Oh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He started with that, then he did Elvis, now he's doing Masters of the Air, now he's doing Dune, and he's just been amazing in everything. It's truly incredible to see where this kid's journey has taken him. And I'm proud to say I've been a fan since Hannah Montana days. Austin Butler, you have made us proud. You are incredible. I'll say this. As much as I love those two performances, they both might have been outdone by Rebecca Ferguson. Rebecca Ferguson in this movie? Now her... I knew Rebecca Ferguson was good, but the thing about Rebecca Ferguson is she was doing some stinkers at some point, and I wasn't necessarily sure where her career was headed. She was doing The Greatest Showman, didn't get the best reviews. I love that movie, but mainly probably because of the songs more than the story. She did like The Snowman. She was doing a lot of mediocre movies. I want to look at that for a second. She did Mission Impossible, which Mission Impossible is freaking incredible, but she's done a lot of mediocre projects too. She did Dr. Sleep, which is amazing, but she did Life, Men in Black International. Apparently she was in that. I didn't even know that. She did The Snowman, The Girl on the Train, Reminiscence, Hercules. Like, she's been in some crap. So there was one point in Rebecca Ferguson's career I was kind of scared. I was like, oh God, she's too talented. I really hope she's not going in the downward direction. She can only go up from here. Like I said, she was already in the Mission Impossible movies and did a great job in those. But this is her best performance, hands down. This is Rebecca Ferguson's best performance I've ever seen her in. She absolutely is translucent. She is absolutely ridiculous in this movie. Rebecca Ferguson kills it. Zendaya as well. I will go down. I can definitely say that this is probably Zendaya's best performance as well to this date. And it is what it is. I'm telling you, everyone in this film brings an Oscar-worthy performance. It is what it is. I'm telling you, this cast is ridiculously stacked. Florence Pugh, Christopher Walken, Dave Bautista, Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin is another one. Josh Brolin did a damn good job in this movie, and once he's you fall in love with him immediately. Javier Bardem is another tremendous standout. Javier Bardem was so good in this movie. He was so funny. He was so charming. He was so just Javier Bardem. I'm trying to make sure I get everybody else's name in here. Look, Stellan Skarsgård, who plays the Baron, amazing. So damn good. Look, like I said, I could sit here for hours and praise this entire cast right here. I want to give a shout out to Lea Sedil as well, because she was in the film. But look, man, when it comes to world building, storytelling, character development, character arcs, when it comes to cinematography, when it comes to sound design, when it comes to best actor, best actress, when it comes to best director, when it comes to just any category you can think imaginable, aside from, animated and documentary short films and all those, when it comes to any category that a film can be nominated for, this movie should possibly fit in all of those. I wish I was capping to y'all. Now there may be a movie. I'd say the score was pretty powerful, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dune 2 didn't get nominated for Best Score, because maybe there are other contenders out there that possibly can beat it for Best Score. But its score is incredible as well. Score is probably one of the lower things that's so great about this movie. The score is still really good, but it's probably like on the lower end of that list of how much of the other things I absolutely adored about this film itself. But look, guys, I can't say enough about this movie. When it comes to just everything that makes a film great, or everything that is supposed to go into a film to make it amazing, make it just come alive, I truly don't think you've ever seen it done like it's been done in this movie here in Dune 2. I'm telling you, this movie lives up to the hype. It lives up to the comparisons of the sequels that it's been compared to. I'm talking Dark Knight, T2 Judgment Day, Lord of the Rings 2 Towers, Toy Story 2. I'm talking about like them Godfather Part 2, those incredible banger ass sequels that we've all come, Aliens, all of those. When it comes to sequels, Dune Part 2 is one of them ones. One of the greatest sequels of all time, one of the greatest science fiction films of all time, one of the greatest movies of all time. And that's what it is for me. It's not going to be that for everybody. It's not. But if you just don't get it, if you ain't got, look, like T-Pain says, if you ain't got it by now, then you just ain't getting it. Honestly, if you really didn't understand what was to come from Dune Part 1, if you didn't really understand where the hype was surrounding that film, or why it was so hyped up, and it was mainly just strictly just set up for what was in this film here, if you didn't really understand what Dune Part 1 was doing, I can't imagine you're going to appreciate what this one does here, even if the action is bigger. Everything's bigger. The action, the set pieces, everything is bigger and on a much grander scale. And I absolutely love the fact that Denis Villeneuve already came out and said he's going to take his time on the third one, because this needs to be appreciated. That's why I was very happy that they're pushing Spider-Man or Beyond the Spider-Verse back, because Across the Spider-Verse deserves to be appreciated. We don't need to just be sitting there waiting on what's next. We need to sit here and appreciate what we just witnessed. We need to sit here with Dune Part 2 for at least 3 or 4 years. Y'all be as mad as y'all want about that, because if we give this man 3 or 4 years to finish with Dune Messiah, this will be one of the greatest trilogies ever. The best trilogy I've ever seen was the Lord of the Rings extended edition movies. All of those movies are 4 hours plus, the extended editions. 4 hours plus, and it's one of the greatest binges I've ever had in my life. Actually, it might be the greatest movie binge. I'm sorry, binges in general. Lord of the Rings extended editions probably was the greatest binge of my life. And if I'm able to finish this trilogy here, I'm going to binge all 3 of these movies, because that will be one of the greatest binges of my life. That will be added to the Lord of the Rings, because this movie, I believe what this movie did and what it set up for the next part of the story, we are truly going to get a Lord of the Rings-esque type of trilogy here for sci-fi. It is what it is, guys. Like, I truly wish I could sit up here and say, well, I don't necessarily wish it, but I just was, I think I would hope some part of me would kind of like, I don't know, just really empathize with y'all on that level of just like, it's kind of overhyped. It's really not living up to everything that people are saying, but it's just, I sat there in awe. It's crazy because me and my boy, like I said, I went to the movies with my friends. Me and my boys, we watched the movie. Once the movie was over, my boys got up. They got up and walked out. I sat through it. Me and my other boy, Sim, shout out to him, we sat through the credits. You can't get up. You can't get up after something like that just occurred. A movie, when a movie like this credits roll, you have to sit there. At least for me. You have to sit there and appreciate what the fuck just happened. What the fuck you just witnessed. Like, you can't just get up and walk out of a movie like that. Like, that just didn't completely shatter your every brain cell. And like I said, some of my friends, they enjoyed it. They said it didn't live up to the hype. It was kind of overhyped. And I understand. I don't get it, but I understand. And it's okay. But as far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen, this will probably be the best movie of the year for me. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. This is probably a top 5 movie of all time for me. And this is only my first viewing. It'll probably move to my top 3 by the time I see this thing again on Thursday. And if you couldn't guess by now, look, for all those reasons and thousands amongst millions of more, I'm going to give Dune Part 2 a 5 out of 5 stars. All right, so Dune Part 2. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Look, guys, let me know in the comments below. Let's get it. Come on, let's get some comments started. If you love Dune, let's talk about Dune, baby. I need y'all to talk in the comments for me. Let's get hype. Let's get some conversation started. I don't even care what we got to talk about. You want to talk about the performances? You want to talk about the landscaping? You want to talk about how the movie made you feel? How the movie made you cry? How the movie made you this, that, third? Doesn't matter. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about some Dune because we're going to be talking about it for years and years to come until that Dune Messiah comes out. But look, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff and so much more. Look, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. This is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.